All right, all right. Welcome to the show, Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, building damage experts every Saturday on iHeartRadio, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. and live right here, both on Facebook and anywhere you love streaming. It could be Spotify, it could be iTunes, even on our YouTube page. We have our video and our audio content. It was exciting when I was looking for it is going down for real, and it has been going down for real for years. We just now started the video part of the podcast.
Like so, it's a full multimedia enterprise at this point. It's a live broadcast. It's a radio broadcast.
Right.
It's a podcast.
I think because we all originally believe we had faces made only for radio.
That's it. Well, for years and years.
And with the video now, we can prove it.
Right.
Exactly. People can
for years, we were on a different radio dial, and we had a 2-hour segment there. And it was great. We're on the AM dial. We had live callers in and all that. It was every Saturday. Before that, even years before that, I did a Sunday show. So now here we are today, and we live recorded on Tuesday before the Saturday, and then it goes out to iHeartRadio via audio, and then it goes to every other streaming platform like Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, any other streaming thing you can think of. And so in the past, I would say 2 months, we rolled out the video portion. We were testing out the IP cameras. We were testing out the new studio here in the Central Florida area. We finally perfected it. We can have guests here on the show with multiple cameras, as you can see now. We also can bring in a guest via Zoom. So we're really picking it up here on Contractor Talk.
Yeah, what do you think about that? What do you think about that YouTube channel?
It's fantastic. It's amazing. Of course. What do you think?
It's beautiful stuff right there. And also, while Hans is nicely framed up, I think we should maybe
I was just about to say that. Now, because now we are on video, you definitely have to tune in.
Here we go.
I mean, there's several things that we focus on every Tuesday, and one of them is Hans' Dapper Suit of the Week. Nowhere will you see him wearing the same suit any Tuesday night. What I'm talking about.
Look at that.
Second only to Steve Harvey.
Right?
Oh, that's right. Steve Harvey does have a really deep collection.
He does.
He does.
But he's no Hans Kennon.
Well,
No.
exactly.
Right.
You have to be able to mix patterns and colors and texture. And,
dude, yeah, if I could rob a celebrity closet and I was not allowed to rob your closet, it would probably be Steve Harvey's closet, dude.
No kidding. Every color and combination you can think of.
Dude, I love it. It stands out. It makes a statement just like me.
It does. It does. Hans Kennon is an attorney with Morgan & Morgan and has been for 20-plus years now.
Yes, 23 years. Morgan & Morgan doing first-party insurance, helping insureds get their bills paid by their insurance company when they have a loss.
That's how we roll here on Contractor Talk. And every week we have a guest here on the show that's in our industry, our wheelhouse of really helping you, the consumer, is hearing us today, fix your home or dealing with damages to your home or property. And today we have Mike Heyman with Liberty Property Inspections. What's going on, Mike?
Hey, thanks for having me. So far, so good. Trying to control chaos on a Tuesday.
That's right. That's right. And I'm glad you're here. We are aired. We do air every Saturday, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. on iHeartRadio. And if you like what you're listening to now on iHeart, flip on over to our Facebook page, and you'll see on the archive of actually recording our show. That's the easiest way. If you have a comment, question, you want to ask Mike Heyman here, I love you. He says, hey, man.
Hey, man.
That's how you remember him, man. It's easy. He goes, I go by Mike, which is easy enough, or hey, man. I like it. I love it.
Yeah, it's a pretty chill
easy to
name,
remember.
Man. You were like blessed at birth right there.
It makes it super easy. I had a hippie mom, so she was super cool.
That is cool.
She's probably sitting in that chair right now because she follows me around. She's not here with us anymore, but, she's out there.
Well, good. I'm glad she's with you today.
More than likely, she's right next to me, knowing her.
That's amazing. We love having guests on the show that we can talk to consumers, and they can have a Rolodex, just like we have a Rolodex of people that we call here in the Central Florida area when we have damage to your home. And you do property inspections, so you're a home inspector, licensed home inspector here in the state of Florida. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. I have been for almost 13 years, and we've been in business for going on 11 years now. So
that's
seeing
awesome.
A lot of homes.
It's a lot of homes.
In different conditions.
I bet. So when you're, why you would use a home inspector would be when you're looking to purchase a home, especially if you're a first-time buyer or in any situation, you want to have the home inspected before you buy it. You have that inspection period, that buyer's inspection period. As a buyer, your realtor will set you up and looking at many different homes. And once you get into a contract, you have usually in most contracts there's a 10-day period for you to get that inspection. I'm sure you get that frantic call and saying, we're 5 days into the inspection period. I need you out here right away to tell me what's wrong with the house. But that's someone you call as a home inspector to give you the lowdown of what's going on in your home. So tell me a little bit about that and what the normal, I guess, call you would get if I didn't already outline it, or is there any other service you also provide outside of home inspections?
Yep. So all those are good. So break it down real quick. So yeah, if you're buying a home, no requirement in the state of Florida to get a home inspection.
Right.
However, it's
definitely my advice.
Super encouraged to get a home inspection done, because that's somebody who's dedicated to go over and go through the different components of the home you're going to buy, whether it's new construction, existing construction, doesn't matter. And we get that question a lot. I'm buying a new home. Should I get a home inspection on a new home? I find an average of 8 things that the builder still needs to take care of. And it's not that the builder doesn't want to, it's they're putting them up sometimes so fast, and your sub crews are coming in, and then it's all of a sudden a Friday, 4 p.m., and it's time to leave, and somebody wants to leave early, and the attic doesn't get insulated. Right. So the only way to find that is before closing, is to make sure that you get the home inspected. Conversely, if it's an existing home, yeah, you're going to go buy a home. You're a first-time buyer. It helps first-time buyers with being able to walk through the process of, okay, what do I need to pay attention to first, second, third? What needs to be serviced? Like AC, for example, Florida, we're really big on needing a little bit of air conditioning, right?
Right.
So most people don't know how often to service. I've seen people that didn't even know it needed servicing.
Right.
And everything.
Well, you also put a
between,
length of time of that air conditioner as well, like or length of life,
like a milestone.
Right. Almost like a milestone
right.
inspection.
So we'll get questions like, how long do they last? Most manufacturers are 8 to 10 to 12 years manufacturer. I've seen one brand new decide to stop working at 2 weeks. I've seen a lady in Ocala who had a York. That York was 54 years old and still pumping out cold air, and it was an oil furnace. So, she took care of it.
Right,
Mechanical issues, mechanical items, they break when they want to break. Murphy's Law comes into play a lot with stuff like that. But also we do pre-listing inspections now too. And that's kind of becoming a little bit more of a thing for people to do now. Houses are starting to sit a little bit.
So a seller would call you then at that point?
Correct.
Oh, interesting.
Yep.
Interesting. Yeah. Would that be more of like a 4-point inspection, or are they getting a more detailed inspection? And if you're just listening now, 4-point inspection would mostly cover, or it'd be more of a general inspection just to look at the age and condition of the roof, the plumbing, the AC, and one other foundation. Electrical.
Mm-hmm. And I think also for folks who listen to the show, who deal mostly in property insurance, the 4-point is often what the insurers require to bind coverage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we're seeing
more and more of that. Yeah.
Seeing that now, they're wanting it on 10-year-old or older homes. A lot of carriers are, and it used to be 16 years or older for a 4-point. And exactly, it gives the insurance company the picture of what the house looks like without getting them the whole home inspection, because we live in Florida. Florida, we have sinkholes that jump up every now and again, right?
Right.
But every structure here that has stucco on it has a stucco crack somewhere on it. There may be 5 or 10 maybe out of the whole state. But legitimately, it's that common, right? But there are carriers that are from out of state, and all they know about Florida and stucco cracks is somebody's sinkhole that opened up in Winter Park and swallowed 37 cars,
Right.
That's their picture of it.
Right.
So that 4-point gives the insurance company that little bit of, okay, here's what the house has. Here's the condition and age of the components.
I think they'll probably call it more incorrect installation and settlement. Like I've seen too many engineering reports from the other side.
Lack of maintenance. That's why the house sunk.
Right.
I tell people that we're triage nurses for the home, whether we're on the buyer side or we're on the seller side. Our job is to triage it like a nurse, and then farm it out to the different doctors, as it were.
Right. Well, I guess more or less like going to the general doctor and they say, okay, this is what we ran all these tests and this is what's wrong. You're going to need this guy, that girl, or whatever, and this service or whichever to bring this up. But really, I mean, what I'm hearing you say is if 2 different things, right? I mean, sometimes they'll use you to determine the length of time left on a certain piece of equipment. Man, that went by fast.
Right.
I was going to say like AC or the roof and things like that, but All right, well, we're going to take a break, give some thanks to our sponsors. It looks like this is good. We got a lot of good conversations going to come up here, and these segments are going to fly by here on Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. Let's give some thanks to our sponsors, and we'll be right back. All right, we're back. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, building damage experts every Saturday, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. on iHeartRadio, live on Facebook. We record it the week prior to, so the Tuesday before the Saturday we go live, we're on air. We're actually here in video. If you want to check us out, you want to see Hans Dapp Pursuit of the Week, you want to check out Mike Heyman with Liberty Property Inspection, see what's up, then this is where you go. And of course, here, the host, Richie Kidwell. Why not?
Yeah.
Boom. Was that for me? No, you cut it off as soon as I. That's okay. And the refreshed Joe, the producer here, his hat backwards, him chilling after taking a week.
What?
And where do you go? The Bahamas or something? You can't do that.
No,
ever again.
we were rerouted to Costa Maya, Mexico.
Oh, the storms this weekend messed you up, didn't it?
Yeah, the storms this weekend. And on the first night, man, oh my God,
Were you rocking?
I wanted to die.
Oh my gosh!
Because it's very disorienting to
when
have
the ship is rocking
building,
like that.
A building moving, man. Like,
oh man,
that's kind of crazy. But yeah, I spent some time in the casino. Just
nice.
When Joe first came in, I didn't realize it was a baseball cap. I thought he looked like Snoop Dogg all of a sudden.
Right.
I was like,
well, a lot of people
going
make
on?
that confusing. They're like, oh my God, is that Snoop Dogg?
Dogg, or
They
is
run
that
up
Joe
asking me
Rumberger?
for the they're asking me for the autograph.
You know how many kids shows he does now, Snoop? Like he's on so many like kids.
I mean, he's very
Oh, yeah.
calm all the time. He's hung up.
And he
he's
hangs
hung
out
up
with
his,
Martha Stewart, so I mean,
Right,
he's
yeah.
obviously pretty chill.
Yeah, he's hung up his gang banging ways.
No, they're still bitches and hoes. I think we heard him on one. I think it was a news reporter, and it is on like Instagram or something. I remember seeing it on those little videos they come on. But the reporter asked him, "So Snoop, now that all these people come out and are saying things about your feelings and all these women's rights, and like, are you worried about all the things you said calling the women bitches and hoes?" And he's like, "Oh, hell no. They're still bitches and hoes. I still not, he's like, I'm not changing what I said. I'm not changing who I am. No, they're still bitches and hoes today."
That's the only way
Hilarious.
to remain uncancelable is to like adhere to a set of principles. Like, yeah, man, I said what I said. It probably upset some people.
Well, look
and
at Dave
it probably-
Chappelle. I mean, he's just like,
Stick to your guns. You're going to offend some people, but the people that respect you is going to be far more genuine, I think.
Absolutely.
Nobody likes anybody who just goes with the wind.
Facts.
That's
right.
what I think.
That's right.
That's what I thought right
And so, right before the break, we were talking about like, Jesus Christ, Joe.
is that a Dark Side of the Moon? Or
That-
something? What is that?
It was a
from?
dark side of Joe's like audio clippings that he's.
That's right. I'm working
putting
on.
together.
I'm working on training the perfect studio audience.
Depends on the demeanor, or I guess whether the joke was sour or not. I think
That's
really
right.
more or less.
If it starts to fail, if it's like half a second with no laughter, I am funny.
Yeah. All right, cool. So anyway, so before the break, Mike, we were talking about you own Liberty Property Inspections along with your wife. Is that right?
Correct.
Awesome.
Yep.
In the service you guys provide, we were talking about the different types of inspections. I learned something already that I didn't even think about, these pre-buy inspections or pre-listing inspections rather. Great. I mean, I didn't even think about that. If you're want to get the best value out of your house, what do? Well, call the inspector that's going to work for the buyer before you even get a buyer's inspection done, and you can have everything ready to
It's
go.
almost a
before they
little
get
bit.
there.
I kind of envisioned it a little bit like Carfax. And when Carfax started, the deal, all the car dealers hated it because it revealed all these problems with the car or potential. And now the first thing they want to give you is the Carfax. Like the first thing, hey, a clean Carfax. I mean, they run to it now. It's become like a consumer tool as opposed to that's a positive, not a negative.
Yeah.
It seemed like a service like that would allow the seller to say, hey, look, I had a home inspection. This is what he said. I fixed it all, that kind of thing, and it helps support the price or support whatever they're trying to accomplish there. Yeah.
Yeah, so I encourage people to, if you're looking to sell a house, get your house inspected, especially if you've, one, never been in your attic, two, never been on your roof. Because think about it, older folks, somebody passes away, one of the two, was the one that took care of the electrical, the attic, the yard. Nobody knows, or they just never have had time to get up in the attic. I had one in Longwood Then it was a guy from our B&I. He was retiring, moving to the coast, wanted to sell his house. So I went and did a pre-listing inspection for him. Didn't have to test the appliances because he already knows which appliances need work. Mm-hmm. But he didn't know that he had the snake living in the attic. He didn't know that he had, critter activity up on the other end of the attic. So the snake was kind of well fed, but he still had critter activity in the attic.
Holy cow.
And then a leak from a bad shower pan that had failed that he'd never know because he didn't use that bathroom anymore.
Rat damage isn't covered under your policy of insurance, but if you change the letter of the first letter of that word to a B, bat damage is actually covered. You know how many reports we've done on guano damage in an attic and get it cleaned under and paid for under insurance?
I guess the exclusion would be for vermin, I believe.
Right.
Is probably how they do it. And bats would not be vermin.
That's correct.
So what did you do about the snake? And so if you get rid of the
I
so if you
compiled a
inspect
report and I gave it to the
Made
seller
him
and their
into a-
agent, and I went, these are the things that need to be addressed.
Made him into a pair of boots and a wallet.
Yeah.
That's what he did with the
So I mean,
snake.
theoretically, you could let the snake handle the rodent deal for a minute,
Right.
and
For a
then
minute.
you get the pair of boots and the wallet. But you're gonna have to find the hole first. That's really terrifying. Wherever that snake came in.
Because
You
if
couldn't
you
miss
plug the hole before he gets out, he might be a little feisty
Yeah,
about
There's a soffit hole like that.
there's
That's
a
so
different
scary.
person for that snake removal. That's for sure.
Yes, sir.
I'd have to light the house on fire. There's no way to really get rid of it.
That's right. You just burn it.
Yeah,
That's covered under most policy of insurance.
But if I burned the house,
you may go to
get
jail
rid of the
for it,
snake.
but,
What if I
might
wasn't
be
trying to
covered.
fraud the insurance?
if you negligently burn down your house while attempting snake removal,
but I'm real scared of snake. Like
Cause and effect. It's like, why did you do that? Well, there's a snake in the attic.
All right.
Did you not see snakes on a plane?
no, dude.
does he any Indiana Jones films?
No, that is a
Hmm.
Samuel L. Jackson film. But I guess
Well, Raiders of the Lost Ark, right? The snakes are the fundamental
yes,
character.
Yes,
Right.
It had to be snakes.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones, who often also was confused for me. He was really terrible.
Well, if they did an arachnophobia type of movie for snakes,
I'm
because
scared
that
of
freaked
that.
me out about spiders, the arachnophobia movie.
Right?
'cause
Like if you had a spider
it took over the
infestation-
entire house. That was
if there
gnarly.
were spiders all up in your attic,
Could you get away with burning the house at that point?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If you're like, I was just trying to target the spider nest with this blowtorch.
and it,
Right.
The
But the
nest
house
was the
lit.
entire house.
It kept moving.
Accidentally caught the thing on fire.
I mean, if you GoPro everything, the video won't lie. Like, look, I'm being very
Jesus. And so before the break, before we started, actually, Mike, I was wanting to mention or ask you, what are the craziest things you've seen during your inspections? And you said, what, 13 years doing this now?
Yeah, 13 years doing this, and I had a year with FEMA doing FEMA inspections, but those were more disaster related.
Let's say uncommon, I guess. What's the most uncommon thing you've seen?
Oh, geez. The best one I've seen that's most uncommon thing that I've seen has to be the Star-Kissed tuna fish can that was made into a electric junction box.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was fantastic.
Not a fan of ingenuity, apparently. Mike's not. He doesn't appreciate
Right.
the
Yeah, that's
skill it took to cut that baby up with a
Yep.
pair of tin shears.
no kidding.
But it was, he did tie it in right. He did use the lock nuts on it. He did wire it up. And it just wasn't UL approved.
I was like,
Thank
you have to say to yourself, you have to be like, how busy are you where you're like, I don't have time to run to Home Depot to buy a 76-cent junction
Right,
box.
right.
Wait. I'm going to eat lunch, and I'm going to cut this can into a junction box to save the trip. I mean,
Right.
that's the only thing.
I mean, sometimes who wants to leave the middle of a project to run to the freaking Home Depot? That burns my ass.
we all
I
do.
probably would cut the backing of a can and put that sucker in just to not have to go to Home Depot.
Yeah, depending on how tight of a crunch it is,
Yeah,
and like
get in
how
the
bad
car.
is the project manager.
Yeah.
the guy probably went 3 times that morning. He's like, that's it.
Yeah, I'm done.
I'm not
Right.
going back
Well,
one more time.
Up on your alley, and you'll appreciate this, when I did an inspection of about 5 minutes worth of it. So as soon as I got into a guest bedroom, there was duct tape around the door to closet, right? Opposite that closet is the guest bathroom. The tub had already deteriorated out and had a hole about the size of a deflated football. Water just flowed back in there, went backwards. So it was as black as the wall behind you in that closet, and the tenant just taped it up because the landlord wouldn't take care of it.
Oh my goodness.
So we put something together real quick that it ended up forcing him to have to take care of it. So
Wow. Yeah, mold is a crazy thing. I mean, it went by so fast, that segment.
I know, right?
Yeah, it's a crazy thing, and landlords don't do a lot about that. Not a bad topic for the next segment.
Yeah.
We'll be right back with Mike Heyman with Liberty Property Inspections. We'll be right back after the break.
Thank you.
All right, we're back. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell with a loud studio audience here. There we go. Really feeling the energy today, studio audience. I love it.
Whoa, wait.
And with the random horse in here. It might be that horse guy that is the, who is that guy on the horse that does the commercials for the deodorant?
Oh, the Marlboro Man.
That was not it. Never mind. Anyways,
So,
welcome
wait,
back.
the guy who sells cigarettes is also doing antiperspirant. I think that's probably
No, it was the guy on the horse that's super clean that has the little, he always...
Oh, yeah, they're like Axe body spray and stuff.
Yeah, like he does all that stuff. Anyways, that's what I envisioned there.
It's not the
Anyways.
Marlboro Man, though. We're all clear.
Yeah, that
about
was,
right?
that was way back. I mean, did you hear
That dude
Clydesdales?
rode a horse,
Like,
dude.
right, like a real.
John Wayne. No.
Oh, John Wayne.
Not
John
John
Wayne rode a horse for sure.
Yeah. All right. All right. So he obviously got some new sound effects.
Frau Blucher. would be the one that goes
Frau
with-
Juka.
All right. Today we're here with our special guest, Mike with Liberty Property Inspections. And I want to thank you for being on our show today. We were talking before this last break about some uncommon things that you found during your inspections. I'd like to talk a little bit about that. It's always a great topic. But we can go into the different type of inspections that you do offer as well. So I'd love for our audience to kind of hear that straight from you.
Yep. So we'll start with that part. So, of course, we do home inspections for pre-purchase. We do them for listings for sellers so that you can find out what's going on with your house, especially if you have a few things that you can fix yourself before you put it on the market
Right.
to keep that value up, right?
Right.
We do wind mitigation, 4-point inspections, which are both typically insurance inspections.
So
And
I was just
what's
about to
wind
ask you
mitigation?
wind mitigation. If
I
you can
was
tell
going to
the-
go right into that
There
for
you
you.
go.
So the wind mitigation, it tells the insurance company basically the geometry makeup of the structure itself, and the condition of the roof, age of the roof, type of roof covering, type of fasteners holding the decking down, what kind of decking we have, and how are the trusses held to the wall.
So it's all based on roof. It doesn't have to. You said something about geometry. Or are you meaning like the?
Flat roof, hip roof, gable roof, and gable's your traditional where it's a triangle where it's flat on the sides versus your pyramid, which is your hip roof, flat, kind of self-explanatory on that one.
Yeah.
And everything in between. But it also takes into account if someone had, let's say, an older home and they've upgraded their windows to impact-rated windows, that comes into play as well with a
So you
wind
document
mitigation.
that. Okay. So
Correct.
everything that wind could affect, it seems like what you're saying for the folks that are listening, then they have a home and they are about to change insurance companies and they want a lower rate, whichever. They may call you and say, listen, I haven't had a wind mitigation in years and years. I don't even remember. I don't even know what a wind mitigation report is. Would that have a value if they called you? If they're shopping for new insurance, do all insurance companies, have you do this? Or
Now we're seeing it requested on anything 5 years old or older for wind mitigation.
As far as the age of the home or age of the roof?
Age of the home.
Age of the home.
Age of the
Yeah.
home. Okay.
I've heard people telling me now that, and these are from underwriters when I say people. So I've got underwriters calling, asking if we've done a wind mitigation, say, on a house that was built in 2020. And I've had a couple of those already, and that's only a 3-year-old roof. But they still want to have those for photos, proof, and evidence of what. If I understand it right, they're looking for the weakest form of attachment, which would lead to the weakest form of uplift issue. Is that right? Or
Wouldn't current code, are they essentially trying to ratify or confirm that code's been met for purposes of your inspection?
from what they're telling me, is they're looking to see is it built to Florida Building Code standards.
Okay.
And so prior to FBC kicking in, I think 2002, right towards the end. Even if it's an older home, but it's got a new roof, say roof was put on last year, and they've got the permit number for it and the permit for it, they're going to give them the FBC credit on the material, is what. Then that's from the underwriters calling us, asking us if we have, which is the new thing now, is do you have a copy of the permit? Most counties now just have the number in there, and you've got to call the county, and they've got to generate a permit, and so it's kind of a tricky step across the creek, if you will. we're doing it one way, and then the next day it's not the way they want it. They want something else done, and then you do it that way for a little bit. Then they want it a different way.
Isn't there a state form for wind mitigation? It's a citizen's form.
Correct.
Okay, so it's the same, and it's generated by the state. Then
the one that you see typically for the listeners, you see it in the policy. It'll identify reductions and credits in exchange for all the geometry issues, for hurricane straps and
Correct.
different types of attachments and things like that.
Now, are we dealing with 8D nails, the longer nails holding the decking down to the rafters, or in the truss system, or are we dealing with staples? But after the 3 hurricanes we had, Charlie, Gene, Francis.
I hate to say this. Are there roofs that have staples in them? Because no one ever said that word to me before when I was learning about decking.
So before the 3 hurricanes, they used to even install shingles with staples.
Yeah.
So after
long, but yeah, still.
So if I pop up in an attic and we don't have a permit, say, and that roof was done in 05, 06, but I see a longer nail, then I know they've re-nailed the pattern, because before that they were typically using the 2-inch staple.
Okay, interesting. We're talking about Charlie, Francis, Ivan, and Gene from 2004.
Yep.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, they implemented some changes there, and then they started requiring closer nail pattern, longer nails.
Right.
So you'll start seeing that, and then of course, on the shingles, when they shingle, I think it's 6 nails across now.
And is it?
Instead of 4, you have a 6 nail pattern.
It's all ring. It's ring nail instead of smooth, as I recall. Isn't that part of?
For the decking nails, yes, sir.
Okay,
sure is.
Yep.
And as far as decking, just out of curiosity, just because we always talk about what people are looking for. I know that a lot of builders use OSB on new construction. Do you have any views on OSB versus regular plywood, I guess?
Well, and they increased the thickness as well too. So it went from 1/2 inch to 5/6 or
5/8.
5/8 maybe.
Might have to go measure.
5/6. Either way, it's
thicker. I mean, thicker. certainly thicker now. Than this. And now as of last January, became the double underlayment or double felt, not really double underlayment, I guess.
Right, or the peel and stick.
Right,
peel and stick, especially for your flatter 212 pitch. 2 for every 12 inches over, 2 inches up.
Yeah, rise over run.
Yes, sir. So peel and stick for sure there, or secondary water resistance. But insurance companies won't give credit unless they see that on an order, or we can take a picture of it. Even though I know it's there, if I can't get a picture of it, they're not giving them credit for it.
And when we talk about this, we talked about was someone called in, or we had some question. Some lady had written in and said, "Should I get like double tar paper or double felt?" Which is just an odd term because it's really just like paper.
Right.
And we had a discussion that they should definitely get peel and stick, which is a better, more resilient. It actually is sufficient to dry in a home, even though they have double. And they call it double felt, which means they put down 2 layers of tar paper. And tar paper is neither tar nor paper, but you can tear it like it is paper. So, so the discussion we had with everybody was the idea that if a lady said it was an upgrade, and I'm like, if the roofer's trying to sell you 2 layers of tar paper and wants to upgrade you to peel and stick, you might want to look for another roofer, or certainly incorporate the upgrade into your roofing decision.
Right.
Is there anything that you see regarding different underlayments and how they work in the field based on your inspections?
I haven't seen the felt paper used a lot anymore. Now they're going to like a Rhino Guard, Rhino paper it's called, and it's kind of not sure what it's made of, but it's kind of like a Tyvek material.
Okay.
So it's got some weave to it, like fiberglass weave kind of thing.
Okay.
Probably
So
made of
it's harder to tear. And
plastic, or not plastic, but that not acrylic, or lack of better terms, what they use for the outside of bolt holes, like HULS, or like the shrink wrap material.
I think they make it out of actual rhino, just like woodchuck cider made out of 100% real woodchucks.
If a woodchuck would, how much? Anyways,
It was always my understanding that rhino paper was made from the horn of the rhino.
That's right. That's why it's white. It's that off-white ivory.
It's an
color.
aphrodisiac. It's the aphrodisiac.
That's right. That's why it's such a hot topic, hot thing to steal.
There you go. Who knew?
The Tyvek.
Right.
You on that Tyvek, dog?
yeah. I
synthetic rhino hoof.
and, I don't know how we went awry. No, with that. Anyways, but
Win a rhino.
we did. We just we're right off track. But they use that material, similar material, anyways. It seems like for the shrink wrapping stuff nowadays. First layer.
Oh yeah.
When they come out to blue tarp it first, and then you're going to tarp it for a year. They want to put this really like the shrink wrap stuff, and they put it on by fire, and they attach it to your house around the outside. Mm-hmm. It's interesting for sure. All right, already we're here we're already ready to take another break here in Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. We'll give some thanks to our sponsors. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, building damage experts, every Saturday on iHeartRadio and live right here in Facebook World every Tuesday. We start around 5:45, 6 p.m. on Tuesday evenings, and we record for about an hour 20. We push that to iHeartRadio for the audio, and we take this whole video clip here and put it on our YouTube page. Also here on our Facebook page, you'll be able to see the videos. We've done for about 2 months now in the videos, so every week we'll do a different podcast with the video and audio. But we've done the audio part for years now, so you'll be able to see and hear, you'll be able to hear different shows. But even going to Spotify, go to search, put Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, our logo pops up, click on it, and you can see every episode there and listen to the audio, and it has the topics there and who our guest is and everything we talked about on the show. So you can search through our shows by going to our website. I think you can be able to search topics there, contractortalkpodcast.com, and just listen to any of our prior episodes. So if there's something or somebody you want to hear specifically, like you want to hear from the ServPro guy that came here and had his own book, this Resto.
Oh, that's right.
What do you call it?
The Thriller.
The Resto Thriller, the brand new genre. And then, if you go to...
or the drywall guy or the drain daddy, so many different guys. And with the Brian with Four Seasons.
Hole in the wall.
The hole in the wall. Right. I mean, who knew that if you bump a hole in your wall, there's a company you can call to fix it.
A small drywall repair. Like that's amazing. Like nobody ever wants to...
Great.
Yeah.
It's so great. You never know who to call for that kind of small
right,
stuff.
because I can't fix texture like that and
That's
paint
right.
it right to look like the rest.
I can hang a painting. That's all.
about
I
it.
just never take
That's
off the
about
paintings.
it. And today we have Mike with Liberty Property Inspection. So if you're getting your home inspected, then you want to give Mike a call. And I don't think you've given out your contact information yet. How do they reach you, Mike?
We can be contacted by phone at 407-739-5795. You call that, you either get my daughter Danielle, that's my admin. We have a team of 3 of us, myself, Oscar, and Cheyenne. Oscar's bilingual. We can also be reached via email at libertypropertyinspectionsfl@gmail, and inspections is plural. And we're on the web at libertypropertyinspections.net. Our prices are also there. If you have questions, feel free to call. Even if you went with another inspection company, I don't Monday morning quarterback, but I at least try to answer a question if you have a problem. I usually refer it back to the inspector that they are calling about first. And usually I'll get, I've asked them and I still don't know what it is. So I'll take a look at it and see what I see, but I'm not going to ever call somebody out because inspections are subjective to the inspector that you have. So just like a movie, you watch a movie 10, 15 times. How many times you see something else you didn't see the first time? Inspections are the same way. And if they follow the SOP that we have for inspections in the state of Florida, it's very lax. So in inspections in the state of Florida, you don't have to go in, and it's pretty much a go in, look around, into a house and leave. There's no mandate to crawl in an attic, to operate all the switches, all the windows, none of that. So we go above and beyond that. We try to touch everything we can. Mm-hmm. I know if I can get to a window, I want to open it to see if the windows work or not. Mm-hmm. In Florida, it's a 50-50 shot. Some people don't open the windows ever because it's too hot. Some people like it and they like to open their windows.
Right.
But as you know, leaving something unworking, windows, for example, you don't open them. When you go to open them, something's going to let loose because you have not used it. And so now it wants to give up anyway.
Sure.
So finding those things like guillotine windows, as we call them, slammers, you want to find that before, little Johnny opens the window and sticks his head out there and takes one on the back of the head.
Sure.
You're calling 911. So
Yeah, so you're going through and doing a detailed inspection, opening up every window, checking every electrical outlet, and every portion of the home, or the functional portions of the home, and really just giving that detailed evaluation, whether it be the buyer or the seller. And again, I learned something today. I haven't thought about that before. If I was going to list, I've thought about that in other things, but not my house. Right? If you're going to list something, for sale, usually you go check it out on the market to see what it's like, or go have somebody look at it, make sure it's in good shape. And in this way, you're going to sell your home. Well, I'll call Mike with Liberty Property Inspections to get it inspected. Then at least you can have a little to-do list for a handyman to knock out. Or if you're handy, knock it out. It'll increase the value of your home. And then also learn something is that if maybe I'm shopping, because every year you should be shopping for new property insurance. If you want a better rate, go shop it every year. That's how long you have right now to file a new claim is 1 year. So before I would tell you shop it every 2 years, but now you should shop it every year maybe and look at it, and then call you for a wind mitigation inspection, which we talked about a little bit last break or last segment, where we're still trying to get through what really a wind mitigation inspection is. But it seems to me that it's like, it tells the insurance company, which would give you a discount off your policy possibly, if they know what are the weak points. If your house were to get hit by a bunch of wind, what's the most vulnerable portions of it? Is the roof? Does it have hurricane straps? Are the windows secure, maybe double pane or single pane? Or when's the last time the windows have been in there? Is your stucco moving around? Those types of things where wind could change those things, right? I mean, is that what they want to know usually?
Yeah, on the wind mitigation, everything but the stucco part.
Right. Okay.
So, and we were just talking at the break, older homes, and I had one off of Virginia, it was built in the 20s. They went back and they retrofitted the rafter tails and where the rafters meet the walls with hurricane straps. And they ended up hitting every one of them all the way around. So they want to know that versus is it still toe-nailed, which is the way they used to build, and drive nails in the side of the boards, and that's how you secure it down. So that's all the stuff that we look for. Now, sometimes insurance companies will kick it back because they want a clearer picture, and you can't always get that clearer picture. So then that's when usually it's me, get on the phone with a carrier or underwriter and explain and walk them through that. But we try to get as detailed of photos as we can to prevent any of those callbacks and make it as smooth as possible, especially with insurance right now in Florida. And the 4-point inspection that we talked about earlier, with the 4 main components, electrical, HVAC, plumbing, and roof. What's the condition? What's the age? What's the material? We still have some polybutylene houses, which is piping that's no longer...
Gray pipe?
Yep, the gray pipe stuff.
That stuff explodes. That's like spontaneous.
Oh, wow.
It is, man.
And the older it's getting, the more it is starting to do that. And then, aluminum wiring, things like that, that they want to know. And then, of course, we get a call. And it's funny that you brought up on the carriers that accept something and then turn around and not accept it later. And we've gotten a handful of those calls where the wind mitigation or the 4-point was submitted 4 years ago, and they've been fine with it for 4 years. And now all of a sudden they don't like this because this doesn't say this a certain way.
Right.
And we get panic calls. They're going to cancel me in 2 weeks. What for? So I'll call the carrier and I'm like, y'all accepted this 4 years ago and nothing has changed. It's still the same. So with those, because the wind mitigation is a 5-year thing, most people end up getting a new wind mitigation. Now they've got another 5 years.
Well, and that's good to know. I was going to ask, how often should you get the wind mitigation inspection? So that just answered that. Every 5 years you should get that.
And what change other than the overall, the quote unquote wear and tear to the roof? What else changes on wind mid? Is it really just the roof condition?
Just the age of the roof, because wind mitigation doesn't lead to the condition of the covering itself. It's just the age of it. The 4-point and the roof certifications, which we do roof certifications as well.
We'll find out more about what that. I want to know what that is too.
Because if you're certifying it being 5 years older or more, life expectancy, I want to hear about
less. That's correct. So in that, they're looking for what's changed. Especially after a heavy storm season.
Right.
So, where you mentioned earlier, you have 5 years on a roof in year A, and now we're a year and a half later, and we've had some decent storms, hailstorms, things like that. do you still have 5 years left on the roof, or was it in that area that got beat up? Now it's down to really two years left on the roof.
No, it got beat up and needs to be replaced under insurance because it got under covered loss for hail.
Exactly. But roof certification, I know we don't have a lot of time left in the segment, but what is a roof certification?
Basically, it's the roof part of the 4-point. How old is the covering? What type of covering? What's
Can
the
you
condition?
get that by itself, or does it?
You can get that by itself.
Wow,
Sure
interesting.
can.
Interesting.
And there's 3 entities that can, pretty much 3 to 4 entities that can do it. Certified building contractor, a roofer, licensed home inspector, engineer.
That's right. Interesting, yeah, because when that came out about the whole 5 years, where a home insurance company can't cancel you if you have 5 years or more of life expectancy on your roof. So those are great inspections to be able to offer. So we're here with Mike with Liberty Property Inspections. We're going to take a break here, give some thanks to our sponsors. We'll be right back. Stereo. All right, and we're back. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, building damage experts, every Saturday on iHeartRadio and live right here on Facebook. And our podcast is now live for the video. Past couple of months, we're on YouTube for our video portion and our website, contractortalkpodcast.com. And of course, now on Facebook. It's been going down for the past couple of weeks. So, Mike, man, you're getting 3 different, I don't know, I was going to say 3 different waves of advertisement here today. I mean, live here on Facebook, on Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell on our Facebook page. And then our producer Joe over here cans this at the end of it and post-produces it, puts it up on our YouTube page. And then we're live on every streaming platform, Spotify, and of course, we're on iHeartRadio. That's where you're listening to us now, on the big dial. They have a big frequency on iHeartRadio, and they cover many different stations here locally in Central Florida. Or you can go straight to their website, wflaorlando.iheart.com, and you can listen to us streaming there every Saturday. You'll get the commercials in there, but you'll get to hear our show right here. And again, if you're driving through Central Florida, it's 94.1 FM, 93.1 FM, or 540 on the AM dial. So a lot of stuff here going on with Contractor Talk. We're excited to have a new studio in Central Florida. If you're interested in doing a podcast yourself, we do have a space available in this room. You can rent it out yourself. You can have video or just do audio. Contact us through our website if you want to hear more, contractortalkpodcast.com. We have our emails there where you can reach out to us and talk to Joe. Joe will get back to you. There you go. You see how I threw that at you, Joe? And today with special guest Mike with Liberty Property Inspections. And Joe loved that one, I can tell. Never mess with the guy with the soundboard, I guess. That's how it is. And Jesus. A horse head will be on your bed tomorrow morning there, buddy.
If I come in with a long face, otherwise sad, Hey.
And we're talking inspection talk here, and some great stuff here with Mike Heyman with Liberty Property Inspections. Really, the eye-opening thing is the wind mitigation reports every 5 years is what you recommend to get them renewed and submitted to your insurance company as you're then going through shopping for new and cheaper insurance. That's a hot topic right now. How can I find cheaper insurance? Well, down in Punta Gorda, I bought a house there right after the storm and got insurance on it. I thought, here we go. I'm in a hurricane hit area. It's going to be and it was $1,200 for the year. And all because I had a recent, the roof was put on, it was a new house, it was about a year old, and the roof was within a year and had all the check marks, all the stuff that you were talking about, Mike, like the hurricane straps and all the additional stuff, because it was new. It's up to current code. So they gave me all these discounts. I got a really cheap price. It was Cypress Insurance. There's some good insurance companies out there with good rates. So go to the Office of Insurance Regulation website. You can click on find property prices, property insurance prices, and you can click on there and get about 30 to 40 different I was going to say insurance companies with their prices annually.
I was curious, when you do those inspections, like things like tie down straps, things like that, this may be beyond what your scope is, but I always wondered, can you go in and put that stuff in after the fact, or does it have to be done like at the beginning? Like you can't just go in and put straps in or do other protection. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Now they try to strap all of them. So when we do a pre-drywall inspection for a new home, I can't tell you how many times I've found where they've skipped like every third one or every other one, or a whole wall won't have them on. And so, you point those out to the superintendent, and most of those guys and gals are understaffed and overloaded. 30 houses per superintendent makes it a little hard. So they appreciate, one thing we don't do is tell the builder how to build a house. Not my job. My job is to be that extra set of eyes to try to find what we can find so we can get things taken care of. I've seen retrofit both on outside and inside, depending on the makeup of the structure.
Okay.
And how they're able to
my house was built in, I guess, 1989, I think it was, 1990. And I don't know. I mean, in honesty,
Are you a one-story?
Two-story.
Two-story. So with one-story and two-story older homes that aren't wrapped, and let's say that there's just a clip instead of a wrap going across, I've seen where people have come in and taken the soffit down and then redone the soffit. So before they redo the soffit, then they can go and put straps in and retrofit straps that way from the eave side.
Okay.
A lot easier than trying to come down. Roofing, if you're getting a new roof, and I've seen people have that done, and they take the bottom section of the roof decking up, strap it down, and then put the new decking down. That's a more expensive way of doing it, but at the same time, just depends on what you've gone through. One big question we get as in home inspection world is, always, should I buy this house? And my favorite answer to that is, I can't tell you whether you buy this house or not. Right. My pocket's different than your pocket. My threshold's different than your threshold. I've had a lady pass on a home that has immaculate, but it had a GFI, a ground fault interrupter outlet that was bad. When she was a kid, she almost died in a house fire with a bad GFCI. So to her, that was her stopping point.
Right.
Wow.
The house that she bought next had about $20,000 worth of stuff that needed to be done, but all the electrical was fine. And that was her stopping point.
Wow, the GFIs seem to be so easy to replace, you would think.
Yeah, but you got to, what was your trigger, what's your trauma dealing with that,
If the seller had done the pre-sale inspection,
they would have known.
That GFI wouldn't have been a problem.
Facts.
Very
True.
good.
Sir.
They would have just called you
Thanks,
to begin with. If whether you're a buyer or a seller, you obviously you need to call Mike. It just makes sense.
I know for us, we did a home inspection, and we knew there was problems with the house. Like a bunch of outlets didn't work, and it was like a 65-page report laying out everything that was wrong with the house. Now, what was helpful about that is we kind of knew that, and it got documented. So when it came time to fix it, I gave it to the contractor and said, "Here's 65 pages of stuff I know is wrong. There may be more than that, but I can at least tell you." So it was actually a pretty good blueprint for repair, because I was able to go back and go, okay, page 12, it said this, to fix that? Yeah, we fixed that. We went through all those things. So I know on mine, from a most interesting thing, we bought the house, and we knew we were going to buy it. We liked the location, liked the house. The bones seemed solid. And I opened it up, and I hadn't really read the whole report because I didn't really care, because that's where we're going to get it and get it redone. And there was an entire raccoon skeleton in my attic.
Holy cow!
And it's in a picture, and I literally was just
Find
like,
that a lot.
well, I know there was no, I don't know how long, but up there, no fur, no nothing. It was just a skeleton, and I'm just like, like I have a ghost of a raccoon that lives in my attic, and I was almost like,
can you imagine how many bugs were in your attic? Like just all the
eat
flies,
the attic. Eating this raccoon. And really for a moment I was like, I said to Teresa, we may have to sell the house. That's like why I said, because there's a ghost of a raccoon that lives in our attic, because something had to eat everything off of it. And it really, I've got to tell you, for like a little while, I was like, yeah, I'm not going up there for a while. I gotta process the dead raccoon skeleton.
And then in the middle of the night on full moons, you hear something out there in the trash can.
Right.
I would seal the. I would definitely seal the entrance to the attic. I would just nail that sucker shut. We're not going in there.
We don't need anything that's in there.
Let's just take that skeleton and chuck it in the pet cemetery. See what we get out of it.
My wife can help you with that. She does ghost hunt. So.
Oh, there you go.
All right, that's good.
We need
a whole another show.
Like a raccoon.
I was going to
seance.
ask, is there a different inspection machine for that? I mean,
she actually does ghost hunting. She's got all the equipment for it.
I need her in Hans's house, and we need to do a broadcast.
We do. If any little scurry animal that looks like a raccoon runs through there as a ghost, then I think you burn the house.
Exactly. I think Joe's going to come over and try to find the raccoon.
I'm going to put a raccoon costume on your Roomba in the middle of the night.
I burned my house down. Why? Because I was trying to set the ghost of a raccoon on fire.
It's
Sir,
how Joe got rid of his bats.
we're working up to deny your claim just because of the way you said it. But it really did. That was the thing for me of all the things I've had to, of all the homes I've bought over the years. I was like, dead raccoon skeleton. I mean, I didn't want the whole thing. I didn't want the whole body up there or anything.
Like,
but
how long did that have to be up there? And then the prior occupant had to not notice the smell unless, of course,
raccoon,
ghost raccoon.
Yeah.
That's subjective in the smell of a dead animal in the attic. Sometimes you'll smell it, sometimes you won't.
Yeah.
Depends on your attic airflow.
Yeah, and right. Then you know your attic is well ventilated. If you didn't get much of the smell inside the home, so you should feel lucky. Most people don't have any ventilation in their attic.
How fortunate!
Right. All right. As we've seen, these segments are just flying by here. We'll get back to here with Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell right after this break. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, building damage experts, every Saturday on iHeartRadio and live right here in Facebook World, our YouTube page, and everywhere you can find us streaming for audio content. Here we are, Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. We have our guest today, Mike Heyman with Liberty Property Inspections. LibertyandPropertyInspections.net is where you want to go. Fill out a contact page, and you'll get Mike to come and do your inspection, whether it be, which I love to hear all the different type of inspections. When you hear about a home inspection or a home inspector, you think, okay, I'm going to buy a home. I'm going to call this home inspector. But you didn't realize that you can use the same home inspector to save money on your insurance by getting the wind mitigation inspection,
and
the 4-point inspection, right, which they'll ask for to help reduce your insurance premium, which is a hot topic right now with the rates rising as high as they are. Mm-hmm. The more you can prove that your house is sound, the more discount you're going to get on your property insurance. So it's great. And I've heard, again, what I've learned today is if you're a seller and you're going to list your home, why not call the inspector ahead of time? And we didn't talk about pricing. You don't need to tell me exact, but what are the average costs if somebody does want to start at the lowest level? Say, I just want you to come and check to see if my house is a house. You know, give me the lowest inspection all the way to the most thorough inspection and mansion in Aliqua.
I'm glad you asked that question. Let me pull up my handy dandy reference material.
And one thing I was going to say too is, as for the pre-sale inspection, the last thing you want to do is find out there's a problem with the house you're trying to sell when the buyer tells you there's a problem, because at that point they have the leverage at that point.
They do, and they want to negotiate, and it's always more, because if I'm on the buyer side, I'm going to go and to be like, use my inspection to be like, okay, you owe me $20,000 for all this stuff.
That thing's a fortune. It's a fortune to fix, and it's like $12. But what do you get at that point? Again, if you don't want to get jammed up.
I mean, if you're...
I've got you a good one with your example here in just a moment. But we start, for example, up at 1,500 square feet.
Yep.
We start off at 300.
Okay. And that's a full home inspection report, or what product?
That's a full home inspection report. And then your insurance reports or ancillaries, we used to break them up, but now if the property's 10 years or older, we're pricing them out with those included as well. But just your standard, just a home inspection up to 1,500 square feet is 300. My rule is it's an hour and a half, no matter how small, up to 1,500 square feet. And then it's an hour per 1,000 after that. I have seen and know of one of my agents that works with us a lot was selling his house, and I was doing an inspection for his buyer. I expected him to be there at the end of my inspection for his buyer. He got there near the beginning. And I said, Gregor, your guy there by himself now, or what's the deal? No, he's done. This was a 3,200 square foot house that took him an hour and a half. So, Greg knows how we work, and all he could say is, if I need you to, will you come back and look at my house again?
Right.
Because you're missing something, not doing something, or you're rushing it at that point. And then we go up to 4,500 to 5,000 square feet is 600, and then above 5,000, call for pricing. The largest house we've done is 26,000 plus square feet. The smallest one I've done is about 350 square feet.
Yeah, a little tiny
and
house.
Everything in between.
So here's a question. I have a contractor who helps us renovate our house, and once a year I have him come out and kind of walk the whole outside, walk the inside. I had him over recently. I got a crew to repaint some stuff. The kids had gotten all smushed up, But he was walking around the house last year, and he's looking at the sidewall. And what's up? And he walks up to the side of the house, and he pushes on the stucco, and it moves like, and I'm like, whoa, oh boy. And so luckily he found it. We had to screw it back together and put it and reseal and all that stuff. But literally the stucco was unattached because it had been stapled. The lathe, the chicken wire underneath had been stapled. Right. The staples had rusted, and it literally had not broken away from the house, but had broken away from being adhered.
Wow! Some moisture got in there. There's no moisture barrier then, apparently.
Yeah. So we got all that fixed. One of the many things. But I was going to ask is, do people ever call you? My point being, is it worth calling you every handful of years and go, just give me once over, just come, press on my stucco, go that kind of thing, just for purposes of ongoing maintenance.
Oh, there's a lot of jokes in there, I know, but go for it, Mike. What do you got?
Yes. So I recommend everybody, look at their house. If they're not going to do it, have somebody come do it. When you're buying brand new construction, and we do, the finished product, I call it a finished product, they're getting ready to get the keys. We can do everything but walk the roof and walk the attic. Builders don't like us to do that anymore because apparently someone did something wrong. You know how that works.
Right.
But there's an 11-month inspection that's a warranty inspection that we do.
Okay.
And first thing I do is when I get there, it's, hey, so let me ask you, what have you had go wrong? What do you have problems with first? Because you're living there. No sense in me trying to hunt it down. Tell me what you got going on. Now I can go look at it, describe it. Now you take that to the builder and they can do their warranty work. But if it's not a new home, yes. If you don't want to do it, have time to do it, or know what you're looking for, have an inspection company come out every couple of years, walk the roof, check it, make sure that all the storms we've had, hailstones, can do some damage. Not one or two Z hailstones, but you get tore up pretty good. You want to know that,
right?
And most people don't get up on their roofs, So those things are, I would recommend doing inspection for that. I tell all my clients, even if they're seasoned home buyers or new home buyers, walk around the outside of your house clockwise and counterclockwise at least once a year. Do it under different lighting conditions because it will show you different things, just like watching a movie.
Yep.
Look at your ceiling after a good storm.
Oh, yeah.
I do that all the time.
Man, and we say that on the show so often is that, every year you should be documenting and following up with photos. I love your idea of walking around the house. Take your camera with you. Everybody's got a smartphone. Start taking photos. Put it into a drive or some other, like most phones now have a OneDrive or something you can put all those photos into and keep them for a long time, because you never know when you're going to have a claim or just weather event, and you need those pictures to document or to even save you money on your insurance, as you stated.
Correct.
So this is great.
I would say I'll be waiting for my wife to get ready, and I'll sit in the living room, and I'll just find myself, my head drifting back, looking at the ceiling.
Yep.
And the whole time waiting for him, I'm just like, any marks, any changes, any circles, anything around the light, and she'll go, what are you doing? Looking at the ceiling. Why? Because maybe something's leaking. And that's it. But I always do.
That's a good point, though. I mean, you'll find it real quick, and especially when we get wind-driven rain events here. Your off-ridge vent could have
storm-induced openings.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
You end up
Sorry, I'm just kidding.
Overwhelming the water dam on the off-ridge vent, and you get water come through over a sustained period of time. It starts staying in the ceiling, but then it stops and it never happens again because you don't have the same conditions.
Same wind direction and all those
Yes,
things.
sir.
Right. So there's this interesting play on words that the insurance companies love to use. They'll put wind-driven rain exclusions in certain policies, and then when you sit there and you think about it, and you're like, wait a minute, it rains, but then there's also wind. What? Are you trying to say that now the rain are like little droplets are bullets now, and that they're being driven by wind? I mean, like, what the heck? I mean, they'll literally take a claim and they'll say, well, wind-driven rain caused this. And let me go further into that, right? So let me give you an example of what wind-driven rain would be like, right? You have a door, right? And your front door that goes to your outside, inside, right? You shut the front door and you take a step back and you look back, and underneath the door you see a gap. You can see daylight, right? You can see daylight. Or maybe there's daylight coming around the top, whatever. Maybe it's not CLI, well, whatever. You can see daylight stepping back from the inside, right? And that's kind of normal, right? And then heavy rains come in and water comes in through those entry points, right? That's wind-driven rain. That's the definition of wind-driven rain. When a storm, from the effects of a storm and high wind loading, opens something like a roof, breaks a window, breaks a seal in the window, and then water comes in, well, that's a storm-induced opening, because the storm is what created the opening, and then rain came through, right? And so much of our time is used on explaining that difference to these idiots that come out and inspect. And I say that lightly because a lot of them are, but they're and it's noted many times over that we've seen these IAs, these independent adjusters, who was literally, there's an article, he was a pig farmer before Hurricane Michael, and then he got a weekend training, and now he's an adjuster for the insurance companies, in charge of all of these hundreds and thousands of claims, and wrongfully giving or not giving coverage where it's needed, or vice versa. So anyways, all right. So I'd say a lot of opinionated things here on the show. That's my cover for that. We're going to take a break. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. We'll be right back. All right, and we're back. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, building damage experts, every Saturday on iHeartRadio, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. live on every streaming mechanism you can think of. We're on iTunes, we're on Spotify, and we're here on Facebook World right now. What's up? Joe, do you have the multiple camera shot there for the Facebook folks?
Oh yeah, that's right. We can see everybody. We can see you. Right. We can see Mike. We can see Hans.
All right.
This is great. See, this is the behind the scenes of us for recording Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell here in this fine podcast room in Central Florida. And again, if you're interested in renting the space for your own for video or just audio by itself, you can bring your own producer like Joe here. He's self-taught. Love that. And you can do your own podcast.
It's very evident that I'm self-taught.
Yeah, it's we're working there. We're getting there. I
nailed the sound effects.
All right. But go to our website, contractortalkpodcast.com, for more information, and also to hear and see our podcast here that we've done previously. So today we have Mike Heyman with Liberty Property Inspections, and that's libertypropertyinspections.net if you want to find them there. And of course, our in-house counsel and co-host Hans Kennon with Morgan & Morgan. Hans, I see you brought some paperwork there.
I did.
So let's. So Mike, we talk about a lot of current events here and about law changes, how it affects consumers here dealing with their property insurance. And so Hans is a property insurance lawyer here with Morgan & Morgan. And if you've heard Morgan & Morgan isn't doing first property anymore,
it's a filthy lie.
There you go. You've heard it here on the show. And people are like, oh, yeah. So I'll talk about Hans. Be like, oh, man, how's Hans doing now? Because I heard Morgan isn't doing property. I'm like, he's doing a hell of a lot of property. Like, what do you mean? Like, oh, I didn't know that.
He's doing so much property, he stares at the ceiling while his wife is getting ready. He's looking for leaks.
Just in
part
case.
of his DNA at this point. It's
built into me. No, I brought an article from the South Florida Sun Sentinel, which was reprinted in the Orlando Sentinel over this weekend. And like you said, we talk about property insurance and the impact to consumers. And obviously, there were a lot of reforms last year, Bill 837 and everything else that went through. And the primary impact that Bill 837 had on consumers was that you now have to pay me instead of having the insurer pay me. And with that, though, so at your expense, this is what happened. The stewards of Florida's property insurance industry refused to tamp down their enthusiasm at this week's Florida Chamber Insurance Summit in Orlando. And they were all happy for a variety of things. They were happy for a number of policies held by citizens are being reduced through depopulation, people doing takeout policies.
Right. So you got Brian with Slide buying a bunch of policies that barely give any coverage from citizens. Great. Okay.
6 new companies were approved this year to begin offering insurance in Florida. Okay, so nothing wrong with that.
All right.
Quote unquote, fair rate increases are being approved by the Office of Insurance Regulation.
Holy crap. More increases.
Fair.
Less coverage, more money.
But but they're fair. It's in quotes. It literally is in quotes in the article. One thing that might actually be helpful to Mike at some point, as part of his recommendations, the state is spending hundreds of millions of dollars through My Safe Florida Home program to help homeowners fund improvements to reduce or eliminate prospects of insurable storm damage. otherwise known as house hardening. The state's running that. And also they've said they have less claim costs for legal reforms, otherwise lawsuits brought against people's own insurance company, which is them saying, we're happy about the fact that you as the consumer have to now pay Hans Kennon to get you the money they already owe you. Now, the important thing to me, and we don't have to spend too much time on this today, but of the points that I referenced, the ones to which the insurance industry refused to tamp down their enthusiasm, and even the remaining issues cannot quell the jubilant attitude at the summit, which is I'm reading right from the article. None of these bullet points at any point said premium reduction for the consumer. So the unquelled, the jubilant attitude from the insurance summit by the insurers, none of the bullet points they were thrilled about included any reduction of rates for the consumer. Plenty of new policies, new companies, fair rate increases, all these things, but no one said anything in the whole article about premiums coming down. All these reforms are helping us reduce premiums. All it did, they said, was improve the market, but nothing reduced anyone's premium. So that was the article. It's actually a very interesting article.
Yeah, I think we got some actual audio from there. Here, let's pipe that in right now.
Yeah.
It was jubilant right there.
Is that live?
Yeah.
Many of us were very frustrated going up the past several years, but this last year, this session specifically, we're literally crying on deaf ears. We're asking and begging for these hundreds of pages of legal reform to include just 2 words: rate reduction. If X equals Y, then this happen, whatever it is, but put something in there that'll drive the rates down. And in nowhere in these hundreds of pages of law changes did it include those 2 words next to each other. And that's what this whole crisis was supposed to be about, right? They say, the crisis is here. All these rising costs are making us jump up these rates. But what we've really seen happen is that OIR, Office of Insurance Regulation, is in cahoots with the insurance reform folks, which is the insurance lobby. They're literally in the same office down the road or in the same building with Citizens, which is owned by the state of Florida, which is where all the politics happen there in Tallahassee. So they're all in cahoots with each other, all to then make more money all off the backs of homeowners. And we've seen that OIR has allowed more policy provisions, exclusions. What we talked about the other day, Hans, that there's exclusions. Now there's limitations.
Yep.
There's additional riders that you can get because you have less policies, but there's also limited damage.
Limited water damage. Well, there's limited water damage liability. There's roof schedules that limit how much you can get as a percentage of the replacement cost of your roof based on age. I mean, it kind of goes on and on.
All these things that never existed a few years ago, now they exist today. So they give you less coverage, but they charge you more. And they're making you think, well, this is why we're raising this up. But it conflicts against our statutes. I mean, look at 624-9744, which is our matching statute here in the state of Florida. And it conflicts against the Florida Peninsula policy that my friend had, that they filed a claim. I met with the adjuster, by the way. I just put on my jacket. I was like, I'm a home inspector. I work for Mike. And and I walked through there with them, and they said, okay, we're going to replace the floor and all this, but your island that's messed up, that has mold and water damage on here, well, we have a $3,000 water mitigation cap, and luckily you have $25,000 of mold because you'll be able to fix this island. And I said, okay, well, the island's not going to match the rest of the kitchen, right? And he goes, yeah. Well, you guys are capped at the 1% for non-damaged matching portion of the policy.
Huh?
And I said, well, there's some things you consider. It's what your policy says, right? That you will replace undamaged portions consistent with the statute, but you're going to consider the cost of things and what it takes to replace it and the material and similar like that. So are you going to consider all that? He's like, no, you guys are capped at 1% for the kitchen, but I'll replace all the floor. And the floor is through the entire house. So I was just like, all right, minor victory there. But still, they get $5,000 for the remainder of the kitchen, and they want to use their entire $25,000 mold that they have for the entire year to fix the island. Right. So I'm like, like that's not what you're supposed to get. Like, for instance, these people have $500,000 of coverage A. They're on an open, like a covered peril, like their dishwasher line leaked.
Right, sure.
And they caught it right away within 1 week's time. So there's no possible other exclusion. They called the appliance guy when they saw it.
Right.
And the appliance guy came out the next day on Friday. And then they identified it. And then on Monday, because they're out of town for the weekend, on Monday, they filed a claim. On Tuesday, they're there with the adjuster. So everything was boom, boom, boom.
Right.
And you think you have $500,000 worth of coverage, and you think they're going to do the matching statute like it's supposed to, and you're supposed to get the new kitchen and the floor and all the stuff covered under the insurance. Cap. He literally said, well, make sure you use somebody like, and I said, oh, who do you recommend, Mr. Adjuster?
Right.
Oh, we recommend Joe Taylor, Restoration. I'm like, what? And I'm like, all right, who else? And they're like, all right, Rapid Response. And I'm like,
oh,
both
People's Trust.
Right, exactly. People's Trust owns Rapid Response. Both of these carriers, or carrier bitches rather, remediation companies only work for insurance companies, and they're horrible. Go check them online. They have no Better Business Bureau rating, and they have horrible Google reviews because they go in, they get paid very little by insurance companies. It's like going to the doctor and getting Medicare care. Right? I mean,
welfare medicine.
Exactly.
Yep.
But paying the higher premium but getting that type of care.
Right.
Man, we're gonna have to take a break already. We have a last segment coming up. We'll finish what you have there.
Yep, sure,
as far as the law changes for consumers here in the state of Florida on Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. We'll be right back after the break. All right, and we're back. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, building damage experts, every Saturday here on iHeartRadio, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. or live here on Facebook or any streaming platform you can think of, from Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, anywhere you stream is where you can find us. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. Thanks for joining us here on Facebook. If you're still hanging out with us, thanks for sticking with us. Most people I've seen on our insights, several minutes that they'll hang out with us for a little bit. I'm the same. I'll listen to it on the way home and make sure everything's good. But it is tough to keep somebody's attention for an hour and 20 minutes. But here we've always great content for you, so you can go back and you can hear any previous episode with any guest on a specific topic. So check us out here on every streaming platform you can think of. And of course, here now, the past couple months, we've been doing this live. So you'll see us on the video portion on Facebook page and our website, contractortalkpodcast.com. And of course, our YouTube page. Subscribe, all that fun stuff there on YouTube. Eventually, we'll have thousands and thousands of listeners there that subscribe to us on YouTube.
It's going to be incredible.
There we go. We're figuring it out here on Contractor Talk. So Hans is still going through, just shuffling through the pages here of a recent article. So go for it.
I was just going to add just a couple more things. One, for the consumer who worries that if they make a claim that they'll be dropped. Well, the first thing is, please understand, you can't be dropped. They can non-renew you.
That's right.
At the end of the policy period. But for some folks who are concerned, well, all the insurers are leaving, right? They're like, all the doctors were leaving. Everyone's going. We talked about the 6 new companies were approved to begin offering property insurance. But some of the folks who analyze these markets, head of reinsurance funds, which are large funds that help insure insurance companies. So when you're concerned that either you're not going to have insurance, or no one's going to insure you, or no one's going to be around, or they're all going to leave the state, really the words that people use. John Seo, co-founder and managing director of Fermat Capital Management, called the term amazing and phenomenal. I've been spreading that message worldwide to a global investor base that really is breathing a great sigh of relief. So next time as a consumer, you're sitting at home going, man, we're not going to find insurance. Everyone's leaving. No one's going to insure me. What you have is jubilant discussion by folks in that business who are all saying that all these reforms, and trust me, I pay property insurance like everyone else. I make my living suing insurers regarding property insurance. So I'm still glad to see this, and I hope it changes the consumer's attitude. I know we do a lot of jury trials, and I can tell when I talk to jurors now that their concern is that if they award my client even a fair amount for their damage, somehow it's going to cost them, right? There's like a visceral reaction where you start talking to jurors and you go, well, sir, do you have any belief that if you award my client money, it somehow costs you money because your premiums will go up? And they almost invariably these days say yes, because they're savvy enough now. And it's kind of a change in the market. It used to be obtaining a verdict against your own insurer what was I don't want to say easy, but certainly easier than it is now, because people were like, hey, I'm in the same boat as that guy. And if that were to happen to me, I'd want someone to compensate me if I needed a new roof or needed my house rebuilt. But now people are thinking more, well, geez, if I give that guy money, my premiums are going to go up, and I don't want to pay anyone, my insurer, any more money than I do now. So again, if you sit on a jury and you're concerned about that, this article in the Sun Sentinel would suggest that that's not as much of a problem as perhaps you once thought it was. Simply that. And that if you do award someone a fair amount for their damages based on this article, everyone seems to be feeling pretty good about the property insurance market. So please don't hold it against a plaintiff such as yourself, because you're worried about it might come out of your pocket.
Right. I mean, I'm hearing the housing insurance market complaints for sure. But there's another side of that. People that are living in condos that get this special assessment because the condo or HOA has gotten a big premium increase, especially if you're in the exposure of the east side, which we work with a lot of folks that are living in condos and other types of HOA included type of multi-family living, and their rates have gone up so much, or they've been special assessed by the property because the property has to come up with, let's say, the big down payment or the indifference of what the insurance company is going to pay and what they have to pay to rebuild what's the wall, the retaining wall on the outside?
The seawall?
The seawall, right?
Sure.
How much that the big properties that we have 12 of them up and down the Daytona coast,
right,
just from Hurricane Nicole, and they've spent, none of them, by the way, have been reimbursed for the millions of dollars they paid to put into the seawall. Just so you know, they've had to do many special assessments to all of their condo owners so they can put the temporary wall in. One of them paid $350,000 just for a temporary.
Yeah, we have a place over in New Smyrna, and there's just around $1 million to rebuild the seawall that broke during post Hurricane Nicole. So,
yeah, and the folks that are living there are the ones that have to split it and pay for it on top of their own insurance that they have to put for renter's insurance to live in there. So they're getting double whammy. So I definitely feel bad for them. A lot of folks are selling their condos and multifamily homes because of that.
Well, there's been certainly discussion you hear about older folks on fixed income literally considering selling their home itself because they can't afford the increase in property insurance. And again, despite this article not addressing issues of rate reduction instead of that of fair increases, I would suggest that perhaps selling your home for that basis, obviously unless you have to, is probably not a good business decision in the long run, because you got to go live somewhere, and somewhere still costs a lot of money. And again, if the insurers, and you never see insurers suggest that they're happy, it's never enough, it's never enough, it's never enough. This would suggest that they actually believe, even though I'm sure we'll see legislation that suggests it is not enough. Right. I think so far this article, the reason why I kept it is to suggest that insurers feel that enough has been done to screw the consumer to satisfy them for now.
Right. And we all know there's not. I mean, they made a chilling effect happen for a reason so they can all put more money in their pockets, get away with this murder that they're doing with the policy exclusions, and charging you more for it, all in the backs of our policyholders here in the state of Florida. It's unfortunate. But outside of that, you have good folks that are on this on here as guests, like Mike with Liberty Property Inspections. He can help you save money here by not switching to Geico, but to call him for a wind mitigation report, a 4-point inspection report. If you don't know what a wind mitigation inspection report is, then you haven't had one in the past 5 years. So you need to call Mike, libertypropertyinspections.net. How else can they get a hold of you, Mike?
You can call us at 407-739-5795 or email us at libertypropertyinspectionsfl@gmail.com. And you can always fill out one of those little forms on libertypropertyinspections.net. If you don't know what those things are and you want to talk more about them, give me a call. Danielle will get me in touch with you. If you need one of those inspections, whether it's a listing inspection because you're selling, a buyer's inspection because you're buying, or a 4-point wind mit for the insurance companies, give us a call. We'll help you out. Like like I said, we have 3 of us, myself, Cheyenne, and Oscar.
Awesome. And great prices as well, too, as you stated. I mean, from a couple $100, that's going to save you thousands of dollars over the next 5 years for a nice wind mitigation report. And again, we've talked a lot about insurance here on the show. And that's such a hot button issue right now, is the ever rising cost of these property insurance policies. They exist for a year. They're different than your auto policy, which some of them renew every 6 months and will jump up automatically from month to month if you have an accident or anything changes. That's much different than property insurance policy. As Hans mentioned, if you file a claim, they're not going to just cancel you tomorrow and be like, oh, you filed a claim, we're going to cancel you, you're done. They don't do that. They cannot do. Your contract is for a year. So as he said, they can non-renew you if they don't like something, but there's new legislation pending that will help protect homeowners against that. Like Senate Bill 7052 last year was the protection consumer it was the insurance accountability bill is what they called it. And it was a boo-boo. That's because they knew they went in so hard with House Bill 837 and took out all the prevailing party attorney's fees from property, from medical, from life, everything, right? They just took everything away from consumers who are needing to be given what's rightfully owed to them by the insurance company, but now they have to pay their own way for experts, for attorneys, and all that kind of stuff. So it changed the market here in the state of Florida. So that's what we talk about on the show. Bring some tools to you as a consumer here. Thanks for joining us, Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. Thank you, Mike, libertypropertyinspections.net. Thank you, Hans. Talk to you guys next week. See you.